6 Somali pirates fired an RPG at what they thought was an easy target. But it wasn't a cargo ship. It was the USS Ashland, a U.S. Navy warship. For the attackers, it was a big mistake. The Gulf of Aden is a funnel for the world's trade, a narrow blue throat connecting the Arabian Sea to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Tankers, container ships, bulk carriers, a constant procession of steel and cargo threading through a corridor no wider than a day's sail. By 2010, that corridor had a new reputation: the most dangerous shipping lane on Earth. The reason wasn't storms or reefs. It was men in small wooden boats riding low in the water, engines screaming as they chased ships worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They were fast. They were ruthless. And they were multiplying. The method was simple: launch a skiff from the Somali coast or a waiting mothership. Close the distance with speed. Spray gunfire to terrorize a civilian crew. If the target doesn't stop, fire a rocket-propelled grenade, a burst of smoke and flame that says, "We're not bluffing." Then throw up ladders, board, and seize control. With hostages trapped on the bridge and engine room, the pirates called owners and demanded ransom. Some crews waited months to be freed. Every success fed the next crew of would-be raiders. International navies started patrolling gray silhouettes on the horizon that pirates learned to avoid when they could recognize them. The ship the pirates would pick that April morning looked from a distance like a slow cargo vessel. High sides, a boxy profile, dull gray paint. Up close, it was anything but. The USS Ashland was a Harper's Ferry-class dock landing ship 610 feet long, over 16,000 tons, crewed by nearly 400 sailors and Marines. Her job was amphibious warfare. Carry landing craft, armored vehicles, Marines, and put them ashore. She had a well deck that could flood to launch boats, a hangar that could host aircraft, and enough defensive firepower to shred anything smaller than a warship. 2 25mm Bushmaster chain guns covered the approaches. 50 caliber machine guns dotted the rails, and a detachment of Marines kept close in watch. If you enjoy Navy stories like this one, make sure you subscribe for more. One sailor would later say, quietly, "They thought we were prey, but to us, they were target practice." Just after dawn, a wooden skiff left the Somali coast. 6 men, a plastic tarp for shade, a jerry can of fuel, rifles, 1 RPG launcher. To them, it was routine. Find a ship that looks alone. Close the gap fast. Fire to make a point. Board. Tie up the crew. Steer toward a lawless anchorage and wait for the ransom call. Hours at sea hardened the decision. On the horizon, they saw the silhouette they wanted. Tall, slab-sided, slow. The skiff surged forward, engine whining, bow slamming the ripples flat. They thought they were chasing money. They were steering into a warship's sights. On Ashland's bridge, the lookout called it in. Surface contact. Small craft. Closing fast. Binoculars rose. A pause. Then, weapons visible. Below decks, the hum of engines and blowers didn't change, but the rhythm on the bridge did. Calm voices, short words, trained hands. There was no panic, just the tightening focus of sailors who know the drill. The skiff angled in, 50 yards, 40, 30. Now the pirates could see figures on the rails, helmets, vests, weapons. If they recognized what that meant, it didn't slow them. One pirate lifted his rifle and fired. Staccato cracks spit across the water. Rounds pinged harmlessly from gray steel. Then the skiff's RPG gunner stood, braced, and shouldered the launcher. The RPG left the tube in a cough of fire, a white-gray plume tearing backward and a glowing warhead streaking ahead. On Ashland, time did what it always does. In moments like this, it stretched thin. Sailors flinched but held their posts. The rocket struck the ship's side with a thunderous boom that kicked spray and smoke into the air. When the haze drifted off, a black scorch mark stained the plating. No breach, no fire, just a message returned to sender. Wrong ship. Bridge, they're engaging us! The answer came back instantly. Return fire. The 25mm Bushmaster on the engaged side opened up with a hydraulic snarl and a brutal metallic rhythm. High explosive shells hammered the sea and the skiff, each hit kicking shards of wood and geysers of water. Seconds later, the .50 caliber machine guns thundered, their heavy slugs tearing white lines across the waves. Tracer streaks bent toward the target in bright, unforgiving arcs. One sailor would later say, almost apologetic, "It lasted seconds." Their boat just came apart, splinters, smoke, bodies in the water. The first hits shredded the bow. The next ripped the engine housing. Boards split. The transom burst. The fuel smell rolled over the water and caught flame. Two pirates pitched backward, rifles flying from their hands. Another threw himself over the side. The gunner tried to lift the empty RPG tube again, a reflex, a last, useless motion, and vanished behind a fan of spray and dust. In less than a minute, the skiff was broken, burning, and doomed. Cease fire! The guns fell silent, leaving only the crackle of flame and the slap of waves against the wreckage. The next order came calm and precise. Launch RHIBs. Recover survivors. Because warship or not, this was still the sea, and sailors pull people from it. Rigid hull inflatable boats dropped, engines bit, and crews traced quick arcs toward drifting men and splintered planks. 5 figures bobbed in the water, coughing, dazed, eyes wide and shocked. Gloved hands reached down. Harness straps went around chests. One by one, the survivors were hauled over the RHIB's tubes and laid out on the rubber decks. Back aboard Ashland, corpsmen were waiting. Bandages, saline, burn cream. Quiet instructions traded over the slap of boot soles and the tick-tick of dripping seawater. One pirate was dead. 5 were alive. All were under guard. All were treated. On the main deck, a short line of objects told the story better than any headline. A K-style rifles, the empty RPG launcher, a dented salt-wet ammo can. Evidence? Yes. But more than that, a message? The smoke thinned. The scorch mark on Ashland's hull was the only wound to show.